Good morning, Veritas scientists. Today is Thursday, May 14th, 2020. Today we're going to be learning about the jobs of plant body parts. So I gave you a question yesterday. We're going to talk about that. Then we're going to talk about a few other body parts of plants. And then we're going to learn a little bit more. I'll leave you with a question to solve tonight. And we'll go over that tomorrow. Okay, so let's go back to what we learned yesterday real quickly and review photosynthesis. So photosynthesis is the process where plants make their own food using sunlight, water, and nutrients. Okay, so this is a plant. These are leaves colored in black here. They should really be green. But basically, the photosynthesis is when the plant leaves use sunlight, the water, and nutrients that they get from the ground, and the carbon dioxide that they breathe in, and there's something called chloroplasts on those leaves that will use that sunlight to turn the water and the carbon dioxide that they take in into sugar. And that sugar is called glucose, and it also creates oxygen. But the glucose that it creates, that sugar or glucose, is used as food so the plant can grow. So basically this plant is going to use sunlight, the carbon dioxide it breathes in, and the water and nutrients it takes in, and it's going to turn that into sugar, which it can eat. So it creates its own food source, and it eats itself, right? It's a producer. It produces its own food. All right, so that's photosynthesis, okay? So that's just a review of what we did yesterday. If you're still a little confused about that, watch yesterday's video because I have more time to go into more detail yesterday. Okay, so I gave you this question. It said, what are the jobs of the roots, stems, and leaves of a plant? And we just talked about how the leaves are responsible for photosynthesis. That's what happens in the leaves, is photosynthesis, which allows them to feed themselves. All right, so let's look at my diagram from today. It's stem. Here's the stem. It has roots. Those are the roots that are underground. And it has leaves. Okay, so we're going to list what are the jobs of those three body parts of the plant. So stem, we'll start with stem. So the stem holds the plant upright. Okay, if the stem wasn't there, the plant would just fall over. So it holds the plant standing up tall. Okay, it also brings water and nutrients up the plant to the leaves. Okay, so the stem, its job is it holds the plant standing up tall. That way it can reach up to the sun. And it also brings water that come through the roots. That water doesn't just stop here, right? It needs to be carried through the stem up to all the different branches and to the rest of the leaves. Okay, so that's the jobs of the stem. Hold that plant up tall, hold it upright, and to bring water and nutrients through the rest of the plant. Okay, so now let's look at the roots. Jobs of the roots are to bring in water and nutrients from the soil. Okay, so the roots are soaking up water. They're soaking up nutrients from the soil. We talked a lot about what is in soil, and especially about what makes soil good for growing, right? It has lots of nutrients, has some water in there, lots of inorganic and, more importantly, organic matter, stuff that used to be alive that's going to give it nutrients and allow this plant to grow. So the roots, their job is to bring in water and nutrients from the soil, and another job they have is to anchor the plant in the ground. Okay? If the roots weren't there holding or anchoring the plant into the ground, it would just fall over. When the wind blew, it would just blow away, right? As soon as any animal or anything walked by it, it would just fall over. So the roots are bringing up nutrients and water, but they're also holding that plant real tightly into the ground. And if the roots weren't there to hold it in, the plant would have died. Okay? So now that leaves us with the leaves. So the job of the leaves is to collect sunlight for photosynthesis. Okay, and photosynthesis actually happens in the leaves. So their job is when the sun is shining up here, they are collecting sun. And they are using that sunlight that they're collecting for photosynthesis. So they feed the plant through that glucose that they create. Okay, so those are the jobs of the stem, the roots, and the leaves. Now I want you to take 1 minute, so you can pause this video if you need to, after I read the question. What are the jobs of the flowers and fruits/seeds? Take 1 minute to write down your thoughts. So pause this for a second. What are the jobs of the flowers, and what are the jobs of the fruit? And if it doesn't have fruit, that plant, then what are the jobs of the seeds? So take 1 minute, write down what you think. What are the jobs of the flowers, and then what are the jobs of the seeds or the fruit? Okay, ready? We'll go over it now. Okay, so then these plants in their life cycle are going to, we start with seeds. Those seeds germinate like we saw the other day. They grow, the stems start growing up, the roots start growing down into the ground. Then the leaves start growing and there's photosynthesis. The next stage in their life cycle is that flowers will grow. Okay, so now we're gonna have pretty flowers here. So there are nice flowers growing off all these branches. That one looks like it's kind of floating in the air, but it's gonna grow some flowers. Okay? What's the job of those flowers? That's what I want you to think about. So, the job of those flowers is to attract, so let me write this here, flowers. The job is to attract, what do you think they're trying to attract? They're trying to attract pollinators. They're trying to attract bees, most importantly. Those beautiful colors, every time you go outside and you see these pretty flowers, and me and Johanna, we go collect flowers every day. Plants have flowers for one reason, to attract pollinators. The pollinators, like bees or other flies that are going to come around and try to drink the nectar that are in these flowers, those beautiful colors are going to attract the bee to come and pollinate it. So we have this bee, the little stinger, give him a smiley face. Okay, the bee is coming to drink some nectar that's made and that's in these flowers. It's like a sugary, yummy substance that they just want to drink. And in the process, they get pollen, which we talked about the other day, is real sticky. So as they come and try to drink the nectar, they end up accidentally getting covered with all the yellow pollen. Then this bee is going to go over here and drink some nectar from here, and it's going to spread some of that pollen here. It's going to spread it over here. Then it might go to the next plant next door, and it's going to go try to get some nectar. It's going to spread some pollen there, and it's going to spread some pollen there. Then it's going to go over to the next plant and going to get some pollen here. It's going to spread some pollen over here. So these pollinators are going to be very important in the life cycle of these plants. Okay, so they are just going to go to all the pretty flowers that they can see, right? That's why they are so pretty. They're trying to attract these pollinators. So the pollinators will come, they will drink the nectar, they will get covered in pollen, and that will then pollinate this plant, and it will also pollinate all the other plants that are nearby. Right? Picture a bush outside of your yard. You go outside and there's some bees there, right? There's going to be a bunch of bees, and they're going from one plant to the next, and they're kind of just flying around and drinking as much nectar as they can. And in that process, they are accidentally pollinating all of these flowers. Okay? So their job for flowers is to attract pollinators. That is why they are so pretty. They want those bees to say, "Ooh, that looks nice. Let me go get some nectar from there," right? So they are attracting pollinators with those flowers. All right? And like we learned the other day, those flowers also have the things in them that will allow for seeds to grow. Okay, so after the flowers, the next stage is pollination. That's when the seeds and the fruit are produced. Okay, so the job of the fruit, so if this was a fruiting plant here, you get some fruit, flowers are going to die and fruit. So flowers are going to actually die. And in their place, a big fruit's gonna grow. Okay, so those flowers are dead, and now there are fruits growing there. Okay, they got pollinated, those flowers got pollinated, so now we have the seeds. So if there were no fruit, seeds would just start to form, and those seeds would fall off the tree, and they would land in the ground, right? And the same process would happen. Okay, but if there's a fruit, like an apple tree, the seeds are inside of the fruit, so the job of the fruit is to spread the seeds so the plant can reproduce. So the fruit's job, or the seed's job, are to get spread around so that then this plant, when this plant dies, these other seeds will then grow into new plants, and it will cause new plants to be able to grow. Okay, so those are the jobs of the flowers, are to attract these pollinators so that then pollination can happen, and then the job of the fruit is to then spread the seeds out so that we can start again here at stage 1 of the plant's life cycle. Then those seeds will germinate, stems and roots will grow, leaves will grow, photosynthesis will happen, then flowers will grow, and again, seeds and fruit will be produced, and then we'll end up with more seeds, and the cycle will continue. All right, so here's your question for today. Why do the leaves change color in the fall/autumn in New England? That's where we live. So when it's September and we start looking around, or October in the fall, and all the leaves start turning colors and then they fall off the trees, why does that happen? I want you to use what we've learned in the last few days to answer that question. Why do the leaves change color in the fall or autumn in New England? All right, and we will talk about that tomorrow. There's Charlie. Say bye to Charlie. See you guys later. Have a great day.